As I mentioned in last week's video, I think this handle is too chunky made out of 3/4 inch material. So I went ahead and made one out of 5/8 square bar, still tapered, still about the same length as a 3/4 inch bar, same outer diameter, but it looks a little bit better in my mind anyways than the big heavy one. Really up to what you want on your project, and we'll find something else to do with this big heavy handle. It'll make a good handle for something with a more massive back plate. Then over this past weekend, I had the Rocky Mountain Smiths come by for a little demo, and we made a version of this project start to finish so that I now have a little bit better idea where I'm going, how I'm going to do this center section or boss that the handle is actually going to hang on. And you could turn this into a door knocker, but I think it's a door handle to use for pulling the door open. Could go either way with it. First thing I want to do is forge a tenon on the end of this, and I'm going to start that by creating a shoulder using the Smith & Magician guillotine tool and a set of butcher dies. Like anything else, you want to draw this out square, then octagon, then round. Using flat dies, or better yet, a tenoning die that has a stop on it so that you can't go too far, is a great way to go for tenons. Once you have the tenon down to proper size, a monkey tool is used to square up the shoulder. However, we will probably come back and use the monkey tool again on this. Once we punch the hole, we're going to have to do a lot of correcting and cleaning up. The Smith & Magician is available through Blacksmith Supply, who just happens to be the sponsor of today's video. They also carry a nice assortment of dies for the Smith & Magician, and these should fit just about any guillotine tool using a 3/4 by 2 inch die. So even if you don't have a Smith & Magician, but you're looking for some good dies for your guillotine tool, you might check them out. But Blacksmith Supply carries so much more than just a guillotine tool. They are a full-service blacksmithing supplier. That's where the Flutagon for that set of Flutagon tools came from. They have hammers, they have tongs, they have anvils. If you need it for blacksmithing, pretty good chance Blacksmithing Supply can take care of you. And if you use the link and the coupon code in the video description, you can get a discount on your next order. Next, we need to punch a hole in this, and I think I'll do that under the treadle hammer. For the Rocky Mountain Smiths demonstration, I did this with a striker, and that's a luxury I don't have very often. Cool your punch regularly so it doesn't overheat and deform. A little bit of coal dust in the hole helps keep the punch from sticking, or you could use any of the commercial punch lubes that are available in the market. This is that part of the project where everything you do kind of screws up what you've done before, so you've got to kind of work around in circles to keep it all going the way you want it to. I think I'll go ahead and cut this off using the cutting dies on the Smith & Magician. Let's be honest with ourselves here. This would be a lot easier to do if you just did the tenon and whatever you want to do to the end to make it look better, and then drill the hole on the drill press. But it can be done entirely without a drill press at the anvil if that's all you have. I am going to go ahead and take it over to the drill press and countersink this just to give it a little bit smoother action in the long run. But you can put But you could also put a countersink and a hand drill if you don't have a drill press. I think we're about ready to assemble our door handle, but I thought you might enjoy taking a look at some of the other ironwork that was in the Fantoft Stave Church. Again, I think a lot of this stuff is probably fairly contemporary. I don't think any of it's original, and I'm not sure that it's historically accurate to the time period. Big chandelier in the middle of the building really looks to me like it was probably cut out of plate and bent. Still an interesting piece, still some really interesting elements, and I think there's some inspiration to be had there. There's a window grill on one of the windows that is clearly arc welded, but it has some very nice lines. So that's another place we can take some inspiration for a future project. But in the end, it's really the door hardware I found the most fascinating. The doors had nice hand-forged locks on them, hand-forged hinges on pintles. The project we're working on actually came from one of the side doors. The front door had an even more elaborate door handle on it. Lots of work on that. That might take a few weeks to make all the little elements and get the whole thing assembled. But hopefully we can do that in a future video because I think it looks like a lot of fun to make. For now though, let's get back to work on this project. I'm going to go ahead and mount the ring onto the keeper or whatever you want to call this piece. I'm sure it's got a proper name. And I've got a little more straightened out flat area here that I need. So I'm going to cut that off first, get this hot, and I'm going to close it up over a wood stump with a mallet so I don't deform the twist any. The dimple left from opening the split cross shows us exactly where we need to punch the hole so we have a place to mount the handle. Super thin, it'll be easy to punch. And of course it would also be very easy to drill. Then I'll use a bob punch, which is the punch holes equivalent to a countersink, to leave a place for a flush head rivet in the back of this. I'm using a wooden block under this while I put my touch mark on it so I don't mess up the front side too badly. Little touch up with the fuller should be all it takes. At this point, if I drill some mounting holes so you can hang it on the door, put a finish on it, it's ready to go. This is a completed project. However, the one that was on the Stave Church in Bergen had some little rings in the corner, and I thought that really added a lot to it. Taking a close look while we were there in person and studying the photographs now that we're back home, I am 95% sure that those rings were simply applied. I don't think they're cut out of the main piece, punched, anything else. They look like they are simply round stock rings that were probably brazed on there. I suppose they might have been TIG welded, since I think this is a modern interpretation, but I'm going to go with the brazing. So first thing we need to do is make a handful of little rings. Well, this is certainly another one of those things that I need a lot more practice at to be good. But the rings are on there and it's going to work. Just a whole lot of cleaning up, way too much brass applied. I think one of the big problems is that the rings are so much thinner than the parent material for the cross. And if the cross was thinner or the rings were much heavier, it would be easier. But I think heavier rings wouldn't look as good. So this is what I ended up with. I'm cleaning this up as much as I can with a die grinder. However, the die grinder cuts all the way through and leaves shiny metal behind. So now I have a combination between shiny silver iron, shiny brass, and black metal. If I were to heat this up to try and blend all that, I'm liable to melt the brazing off. So I think the best option is to try to blend it all in using a brass wire brush and just give the entire cross a little bit of a bronze patina. All of the information that I've been able to find on these old stave churches is that pine tar was the only finish used. That was on all of the exterior wood surfaces and the ironwork, as far as I can tell. The only pine tar I could find locally was meant for farriers. It's used for, I think, hoof care on horses. I'm not exactly sure. Doesn't actually come with any instructions. So hopefully this is similar enough to what was used on those buildings. If not, we'll learn something else and hopefully be able to apply what we've learned to some future project. Looking at people on the internet that have used pine tar, I've seen people who heat the material first and put the pine tar on hot, similar to the way I do Johnson's paste wax, and other people put it on first and then bake the pine tar into the finish. If you don't do something, I think this stuff stays sticky for weeks, especially in the cold weather we're starting to get now. So I'm going to put it on cold so I can wear rubber gloves to keep it off my fingers. Then after it sits for a little while, I'm going to see if I can bake it on. I could end up regretting the whole idea. I hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop. Stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next video.